Hello and welcome to Steve's Vintage Model Builds. Today we have something truly completely different, or truly something completely different. We're going to build a salad, yeah. So it's the August long weekend here in British Columbia. The holiday Monday is called BCD Day. Somewhere along the line people decided that they should have a long weekend every month of the year, so that's what they came up with. I can't remember. I don't know if it's BC Day or BC Family Day or anyways, whatever it is. It's a holiday, yeah. And of course, we're at the height of summer, and I guess over in the UK, if it's not this weekend, soon will be coming the quote-unquote August bank holiday. And I know over in Europe and Mac Macmillan over there in France, they've been enduring some steamy temperatures from time to time, and especially in Britain, they're really not built for that. They're built to keep warm. So I know it's a struggle, but we're always thinking of you. In light of that, along with everybody's on tight budgets these days, or most of us regular folks are, and So this is a great recipe for if you're on a tight budget. And it's called Tuna Niçoise. Now, Niçoise is a type of olive. It's not a kind of salad. It's a kind of salad with Niçoise olives. So, unless you're fortunate enough to live in an area that has a really kind of high-end provision store, olive store, whatever the case may be, even if you could find Niçoise olives, they're kind of expensive. So, more than kind of expensive. So, I use calamatas. I like the whole calamatas with the pits. You can use them pitted. You can get the sliced ones. I like Kalamata olives. They're great. I love Greek food, and Greek food, Kalamata olives, they just go hand in hand. So anyways, so there's lots of different ways to, I'm going to say right up front to the purists, there's lots of different ways to make a Niçoise salad. Traditionally, it was with tuna or even anchovy. And I'm sure they managed to throw mackerel in there sometimes. But normally it was some type of fish protein with everything from beans to tomatoes to onions to green beans. And when I said beans at the beginning, I meant like beans like fava beans or romano beans or whatever kind of beans they have there. Nice big meaty beans. For today's version, I'm going to use potatoes, red potatoes, green beans. Rule number one, Steve, don't put the silicone mat on a hot burner. Okay? That's my tip of the day. Okay, so now we've averted disaster. Traditionally, and in its very most basic form, it was just served with olive oil. So it would be like beans and like green beans and tomatoes and, like I said, whatever other legume beans were available, and some olive oil, and that was it. Again, I'm going to plug the Greek olive oil. This is Hearty. We get it in Canada. It's from Greece, extra virgin olive oil, and it's the best EVOO I've found around that's at any kind of a reasonable price. Yes, you can go to the gourmet shop, the same place you might get your Niçoise olives, but we're trying to do things on a budget here. So when I do use EVOO, I use the Hearty, which is great, and also the olives are Krinos, which are Greek olives. And I'll tell you a secret. Even Italians have told me that Greek olives and olive oil are the best. So there you go. Okay, so we're not going to need these right away. They go in last, so they get set aside. And so I put some water on to boil here. It's going to be fun to clean up later. And get this wooden board, or this board here. Make sure to keep it away from the hot. There we go. Okay, so first potatoes and knives. Okay, I use this knife. It's a Henkel knife. Henkels are among the best knives in the world. I've had this one for a long time, so long I can't even remember. I also have this Henkel's chef's knife, which again I've had over 30 years. I mean, I think it was one of the first knives I ever bought. And when we're talking about knives, knife people will know this, but especially cooking knives, you see a lot of advertisements out there, but they slice paper thin tomatoes and this and that and the other thing. Be very careful. Be very careful with that, because the way those knives usually work, unless they're experts will know better than me, but as far as I know, you want a forged steel blade, right? A lot of those knives, remember the famous Ginsu knives? Yeah, they cut great for a while, but the reason for that is that there's micro serrations. It's not a steel blade, just a straight blade with hardened steel sandwiched between softer steel. There are these tiny little serrations, and they work great until those serrations get all worn down, and this has happened. When you go to try and sharpen it, you can't. It doesn't work because the serrations are gone, and now you've got a chunk of metal that's useless. So there we go. So yeah, be very careful about that, and don't believe everything you see. But I mean, if you want to spend the money every 6 months or whatever, depending on your knife needs. Speaking of sharpening, I have a bigger one, but I use this little one. It's a sharpening steel or honing steel, and it's great because you just put it down like this. And when you're doing this, what you're doing essentially is you're taking off the softer steel on the outside and exposing the super sharp steel that are between the sandwich layers. So there you go. Okay, so today we're going to use this knife. This is my favorite all-purpose knife. It's a good size, not too big, not too small. I used to use the chef's knife for almost everything, but I use this one now. I guess as I get older, the smaller knife is easier for me to wield. Okay, so here we go. I put water on to heat up. And a couple things about the potatoes. You can use white potatoes you want. You can use those little white and pink ones if you want. Like, whatever turns you on. You can use gold potatoes. I like the red skin potatoes because it goes nicely with the green beans, as well as the tuna is white. Oh, and I should mention this is Kirkland solid white tuna. We get it in a 6-pack. They call it skipjack. Skipjack, I think that's the same as yellowfin. You can use whatever kind of tuna you like and whatever's within your budget. At Costco, a 6-pack of these is very reasonable, and it's good tuna. If you want to get ahi tuna, a couple of steaks from your local fishmonger or seafood department, you're welcome to do that. But again, we're on the budget here. So Okay, so about the potatoes, when you're steaming or boiling potatoes for that matter, it's always better to not cut them if you want, you know, unless you don't care about the skin. But if you want the skin to stay intact, and then what I do is I cook them first and then I cut them once they're all cooled off. That way the skin stays intact. But that causes a couple problems. And if you want to peel your potatoes, you can peel your potatoes, whatever you want. You can even get those blood potatoes or purple potatoes, whatever you like. So the red potatoes weren't ready in the garden yet, so I had to go buy some. These aren't great. They're not as red as I like, but that's the way it is. So we've got two pretty much the same size, one that's a little bigger. So what are we going to do? Well, we could put this one in first and let it go for a bit. Or we can do this. Give it a good stab on each side. These ones, we only give them a stab on one side, not as deep. That way, the water gets in to cook the insides, but you haven't completely damaged and degraded the peel. Okay, the tuna, and got my Canada moose. You know, I got a polar bear one too, but we're going to use the moose today. A bit warm for polar bears. And so, yeah, the other great thing about this salad, you can serve this salad warm. There's no reason not to. It's traditionally served cold, but you can serve it warm if you want. If you like warm potato salad, you're going to love this. I like it cold. And one of the things that makes it great by having it cold is when the weather's hot, you can either do your prep work, you know, boil your potatoes and, you know, steam your potatoes, steam your beans. You can do that in the morning when it's nice and cool, and put it all together and put it in the fridge. Almost all of it together. And I'll go through all of that. The other thing you can do is you can steam the potatoes and the excuse me, and the beans the night before, and plunk them just plunk them as is in the fridge overnight. And so then, whether you want your salad for lunch or for dinner, or supper, I should say, all you got to do is throw it together. So, here we go. Pot holder. This is my steamer. I also have a bamboo one, but this is the best size for this purpose. Potatoes go in. And these are probably going to take 12-15 minutes, something like that. Oh yeah, it's going to peel off, no problem. So, anyways, our kitchen's not fancy. It's not big. It's a little galley kitchen. We have an oven in the wall, nice big fridge, microwave, blah blah, and this lovely stovetop. Next to a gas stovetop, I prefer this one, but I don't have a gas stovetop, so this is what we have. But they work great. Okay, so next thing, while we're doing that, we are going to prepare the beans. Beans are just starting to come in. And make sure you can see this. Now, if you don't have your own beans in the garden, you know, you can get them at the supermarket. And I cut them into a size about like that. Yeah, you can get them at the supermarket. And again, try and find them when they're on sale instead of paying premium. But it really is better to grow your own. You don't need a lot of space. They pretty much grow up. And you can leave the little tip on if you like, or you can do them whole, whichever. And I'm not going to bother sorting the beans because they really don't need much cooking at all. They just need to be softened up a little bit. And I've already pre-soaked these in some salt water. That helps them to get a nice bright green color when you steam them. And also helps to break down the outer skin a little bit before you even start cooking them. And since you need to salt them anyways, why not, right? I also salted the water here. And when you're steaming, you want to use a lot of salt. I also soaked the potatoes in some salt water, again for the color. Anyways, I'm sure you're seeing Iron Chefs do this quicker, but I like my fingers. So, there we go. Which one was it? It was this time I took the end off. You can still see it's kind of rare. Most of it grew back. That's why they called me Lefty. Anyways, okay. Okay, so we're nearly done here. That's a skinny one, so we'll leave it like that. And likewise with this one. And you don't need a lot. You know, we eat this for a main meal, so and there's no reason not to. It has everything, and it's low fat, it's nutritious, it's etc. etc. And if you grow your own beans and buy sustainable tuna, who's going to complain? Okay, so the tuna goes back in the fridge. So we're ready. Okay, and we'll set these aside. Until we're ready to go there. Once that cools off, that'll scrape off, no problem. Okay, so yeah, the olive oil goes back because I'm not going to need that. And then we'll get back to the dressing. As I said, you know, traditionally it was, you know, a bit of pepper, you know, some sea salt or whatever. Oh, that's the other thing about salt. You know, kosher salt is all the rage, and it's great for some purposes. But the reason a lot of chefs and cooks like it is because it doesn't dissolve completely. And it dissolves very slowly. So if you're going to be boiling water or steaming things or anything like that, excuse me, you're better off to use just regular table salt or, you know, pickling salt if you happen to have a lot of pickling salt. But table salt's usually a lot cheaper. Again, back to the budget. Okay, and yeah, so beyond the olive oil, it's also traditional, just olive oil, white wine, and some Dijon mustard, kind of vinaigrette. But you know, there's all sorts of other things. You know, I wouldn't use like a raspberry vinaigrette. That would be weird. I make a great spinach and mandarin orange salad that uses that with raspberries, but that's for another show. Okay, so yeah, so as I said, you know, there's lots of ways to make the salad, and the only thing that really makes it niçoise is the olives. So if you want to call this a mock niçoise salad, or I don't know, let's not just, we're having fun, we're cooking, right? Yeah. Okay, so you can use this, oops, yeah, you can use this That's a name brand, Zesty Italian, and nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I prefer this, and it goes great with the tomatoes and the olives. There's just the right amount of cheese for a bit of extra saltiness in it, and it has oregano as well, which is just a light. You just need a light seasoning for this salad because, you know, especially if the potatoes are fresh, they're going to be so. They're going to taste so good. I mean, you know, people who've eaten potato fresh out of the garden or fresh out of the field, they know they're nothing like what you get at the store. I tell you, you just get it's like bam, potato. Likewise with the beans, if you don't overcook them to mush. And also, what I tend to do is, especially if I'm going to do it overnight, I let it sit overnight. I leave the tuna till the very end. So that it doesn't get all broken up and la la la. If you don't care about that, that's fine. But I like to have some little chunks in there. So yeah, so I use the Greek feta and oregano, but you're welcome to use whatever you like. And okay, a few more minutes there. We're going to turn that down. And oh, and I should say too, if you're going to boil your potatoes, just bring them up to a boil, and then lower them to simmer. Especially if you've you know, cut them up into 4 pieces or whatever already, or cut them in half. That'll help to keep the skins on as well. If you're just going to smash them up as is with the skins on, that's great. I had some new potatoes the other night, nice and white ones I dug out of the garden. Because the buck ate the flowers. My potato plant. Anyways, yeah, he's been around quite a bit, and now that the apples are coming along, he's pretty happy with that. I posted a video on that too. He visits pretty regularly. And okay, yeah. So here we go. Yeah, this is gonna come off just fine. There we go. Okay, so check the potatoes here, see if they're done. Okay. See, you can tell these are old reds because see how these should have steamed up bright red, but they didn't. So. $2.99 a pound. Okay, so I got one of these and set these aside over here on the table. And those will continue to cook a little bit. So, you know, that's okay. So, here we go. Alright, and so now, in go the beans. Actually, since we've been boiling for a bit, okay. Yeah, when you're steaming like this, make sure you've always got lots of water in there. You don't want it to boil down to nothing. Wrecks your pot. Okay, so yeah, so those are ready to go, and like I say, they probably only need a couple minutes. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much when you see them turn dark green, or bright green, bright dark green, then you're pretty much done. And also, to retain the color and to stop the cooking so they don't get mushy, I soak the green beans in the ice water here, in the salt water. And anyway, so now I've put that in the freezer, and you can put it in an ice water bath, but I've found for the most part this works pretty good. Oh, another thing about salt. Some people say, well, it's true. If you add salt to your water at the beginning, it's going to take a long time for your water to boil. That's why you see a lot of chefs, especially with pasta, excuse me, chefs and cooks, they bring the water to a boil, it comes to a boil quickly, and then they toss in the salt. And then when it returns to a boil, okay, it's actually hotter than the 220 Fahrenheit or 100 Celsius or whatever it is, whatever the boiling point of fresh water at sea level is. Yeah, and so the salt makes the water a lot hotter. There you go. Which is why if you add it first, it takes a lot longer to boil. Okay, and let's give these a bit of a stir. And you'll pretty much be able to tell. I mean, when you know, like I said, once they start to turn dark bright green or bright dark green, whichever way you want to put it, you know, then just, you know, maybe give it another minute or two if they're thicker beans. Otherwise, just another minute. Or you can turn them right off at that point. Me, I don't care how they say it's not good for you really, but I eat them right out of the garden. I pick them right off the thing. Oh, that looks like a nice one. Apparently it's not that great for your digestion, but I'm fortunate to have great digestion, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so you'll also smell them. They'll start to smell really green bean. And if you want, you see, yeah, maybe another minute or so for these guys. Okay, big knife can go back. So, if you want a knife, you know, if you want a knife to slice tomatoes, cabbage, things like that, just get one of these. One that's serrated anyways. Okay, and with your regular knives, hone them up, and if you're finding that they do need to sharpen them, take them to someone who knows how to sharpen them. Don't use those things they try to sell you from Lowe's or Canadian Tire or whatever, Shark or whatever they're called. They just wreck your blade, no matter what kind of blade it is. So, especially the serrated ones. And then I have this one from my focaccia baking days. And this is a Victorinox, which is a Swiss company. And yeah, this works just as well for beef as bread. So that one doesn't get used that much, but it's great to have. Okay. In we go. And, you know, how many times have we seen gray green beans? But that's nice. I'd like them to be a little brighter, but hey, it's whatever it is. Turn off the burner, Kef. and back in the freezer just for a few minutes. I'll be able to scrape that off, no problem. It's coming up. There we go. Okay, and and to clean this surface, we use this stuff. And it's not cheap, but you know, one like this lasts a long time. And I clean the stovetop regularly. Especially after you melt the silicone mat on it, Steve. There we go. Okay, well, I'll find the remaining half. We'll be able to use it somewhere in the hobby room. Okay. Alright, so I said you could serve this warm, which you certainly can. But these are still pretty warm. And, you know, for our American cousins, you know, this would be a good red, white, and blue salad, too. Instead of blue cheese, you get the feta. And so, yeah, there you go. Okay. Get all those skins in there. Yeah, baby. Come on, there we go. Now, the thing to remember about when you're making this ahead of time is everything's going to soak up a lot of the dressing overnight, or in the in the few hours between the time you make it and the time you eat it. So, and as my dear Grammy taught me, you can always add, but it's hard to take away. That goes for sewing too. So we're just going to make sure these are well coated. And you can dry these with a paper towel if you want, but the water's not going to make any difference. Potato's going to soak that right up. And I also like to add some red onion, but I don't do that till the end because it can bleed into the salad and turn everything red. And the potatoes are cooked, so they're not going to do that, but the onion will. And so here we go. Put in that bit of olive juice. That's flavor, baby. Okay, a little bit of vinegar. Okay. And again, you can dice your potatoes. You can, you know, whatever you like. But you know, this is it's meant to be kind of a rustic peasant kind of style salad. And yeah. So also adding the tuna right now will it might make it soggy. I mean, it's already packed in water. So what'll happen is that it'll absorb the oil and push out the water, and then you get watery salad. So yeah. Okay, so there it is. Tomorrow, you know, the tuna would just go in. You would stir it up. This is going to be for our supper tonight, so it's going right in. And so and you can squish out the tuna till it's like super dry. I like to leave a little bit of the water. Okay. There you go. Don't do this. You'll cut your finger. And so this is you know, it's a good hearty meal for two. You could stretch it to three, and with some extra potato and another can of tuna, you know, you could stretch it pretty far. So just going to break that up. Don't, as I said, I like to be a bit chunky, and we're going to stir it up some more. So, but there it is. You can serve it on a bed of lettuce. Serve it on a bed of lettuce with a bit of crusty bread, and you're good to go. And you know, if you want to substitute fava beans for the potatoes, that, you know, that's great. You know, and oh, I know what I forgot. Tomato. And you know, so for those who are so inclined, you could pop in some red pepper there. Use green olives, whatever color olives you want. Okay, so slice that. Always make sure to tuck in your pinky. All right. You know, and some people might want to, want to get rid of the seeds in the water. I don't usually do that. But if something like this happens, it's not the end of the world. I like the acidity of the tomato water, so that's just me. And right before serving, you probably want to add a little bit of lemon to this if you have it, not the stuff in the bottle, real lemon if you've got it. If you don't, you could dress it up with a bit of lemon pepper. So, there we go. So, when that goes down on the plate, it's full of color, full of nutrition. It's low fat. You've got potatoes, you've got tomatoes, you've got fresh green beans, and you have olives. And like I said, with a nice crusty bread on a bed of lettuce, hard to go wrong. Okay, hey, it's me. So thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope I haven't spoiled your appetite by showing my face here at the end. But I wanted you to see how I've been slaving over a hot stove for you, because I love you. Yeah. Okay, and I haven't even had a single drop of alcohol yet. It's only 2:30 here. Unfortunately, the sun isn't over the yard arm at our house till at least 5 p.m. But she's a slave driver. She's an absolute slave driver. Okay. Love you, honey. Okay, so now, what am I going to do? Am I going to leave a dirty kitchen and a sink full of dishes for somebody else? No, 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 no. No, no, no. I did the cooking, I did the messing, so I do the cleaning. And that's only fair, especially when you live by yourself. Otherwise you end up feeding the bugs, which is no good. Alright, so thanks again to everybody. I'm also going to post this on my Substack if I can figure out how to put a video on there, as well as my other YouTube channel, which is called My Take on It, which is appropriate because this is my take on Tuna Niçoise salad. Excuse me. I don't advertise that channel. I created that channel mostly so I can make political comments on other YouTube posts. Viewers will know that I try to avoid talking about politics and discussing politics in comments and on my channel. So I created that one. So that there's at least an appearance of an arm's length. Maybe not to YouTube, but to most other folks it would be. So yeah, so it'll be on both of those. And as I said, I don't really post very much on that. But one thing I did post was another show on cooking and some cooking tips on how to get by on a really tight budget if you need to, which a lot of people are doing right now. And we're very fortunate. We eat very well, but we are on a budget. We impose a budget on ourselves and we stick to it. And that allows us to do other things. So that's one of the reasons that I don't have a remote Wi-Fi 10,000 zoom camera. Because if I had that, I wouldn't be able to buy as many model kits. So there we go. Alright, so thanks again. I really appreciate everybody's time. Thanks to all my sponsors, and give it a try. You know, as I said, you don't even have to do it all at once. You can do some of it the night before and then put it together in the morning, and lunchtime comes and you know you're good to go. I'll tell you, it's one of the best salads you'll ever have. Okay, so thanks again, and we'll be talking to you soon. Oh, new model kit came today. Really cool one. Gonna do a review soon. Gonna finish up the Horton. And halfway through the quad gun tractor and 25-pounder gun. So again, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's time, and we will see you next time. Bye now.